You would think that at some point in the past 5 years, the never-ending deluge of SsangYong concept SUVs would stop and the Korean automaker would finally show a production version of some kind. It shouldn't be that hard to do, right? Well, guess again, because SsangYong is headed back to the Geneva Motor Show with yet another concept SUV that it's touting as a new vision for the brand's SUV of the future. We've heard that line before. In any event, the new concept is called the XAVL, and from what CEO Choi tells us, it's an evolved iteration of the XAV that the company unveiled at the Frankfurt Motor Show back in 2015. You read that right. The XAVL concept is an evolved version of a previous concept. Color me bewildered, because that's exactly how I'm taking this. To be fair, the XAVL does have some redeeming qualities. It's a lot better to look at than the rolling monstrosity that was the XAV. The front section has a more balanced look to it, although those massive skid guards are still a sight for sore eyes. There's a natural masculinity to it too that seemed too forced on its predecessor. The same is true with the rear section. It's got nicer lines and a more streamlined tail light design, much better than the confused mess on the XAV. If SsangYong's objective for the XAVL is to redo the XAV and mask it under the premise of automotive design evolution, then consider the job well done. But at some point, these concepts have to stop, at least if the company wants to be taken seriously. We need a mind-blowing production SUV that you can be proud to call your own. Otherwise, the jokes will keep on coming, as they have been for quite some time now. Come on, SsangYong. I'd like to think that you're better than this. Let's run it back to 2012 and check out all the concept SUVs that SsangYong has done. There's the 14-1, the 14-2, the E14, the SIV1, the LIV1, the XAV, the LIV2, and now, the XAVL. That's 8 different concepts, not counting the ones that SsangYong debuts in its local market. The only problem is that for as many concepts as the company has, it still has only 4 production SUVs, the Tivoli, Acteon, Korando, and Rexton, and very little from the concepts end up in any of the 4 models. There's something that does not align with that picture, even with the full understanding that not all concepts evolve into production models. At some point, SsangYong has to show something for all of these concepts it's developing, be it a next generation version of its existing SUVs or a new model altogether. Until then, all these concept SUVs will largely generate similarly indifferent reactions, and SsangYong knows that for as long as it has been in the auto industry, there's nothing worse than getting an indifferent shoulder shrug from people in the industry, or worse, from customers. It's frustrating if you think about it. As many misses as SsangYong has had over the years, it's released some pretty interesting concepts too, including the LIV2, which I personally liked. Maybe the XAVL is that concept that spurs SsangYong to start taking the next big step in the evolution of its SUV lineup. That's certainly a possibility, but if we're taking into account history, it's probably a safer bet to hold off on being hopeful and instead adopt a to see is to believe approach. SsangYong has continually teased us on the promise of the future of the brand, to the point that it's becoming harder and harder to believe it that such a time is even happening. Who knows, maybe it still happens, but until it does, well, cue the shoulder shrugs.